Hello, my friend. Welcome to another episode of The Influential Nonprofit. I am your host, Mary Ann Dersch. I am here with my new best friend, Adora Drake, because we've been talking for 5 minutes and like laughing the whole time. And Adora Drake is a digital marketing consultant with High Spirits Marketing. And she is an expert digital marketing strategist, coach, and consultant. And she helps nonprofit organizations feel inspired to take action. Yay! And to gain clarity in their marketing strategy and learn, most importantly, how to convert their followers into raving fans who want to be a part of their mission. Woo, that's what we all want. That sounds amazing. And we're going to just talk about, today about how digital marketing, how to market your organization better. And as you know, before I get started with all of that, you get an opportunity to answer the first question, Adora, welcome, which is name something that you're proud of that you haven't bragged about lately.
Name something that I'm proud of. Okay. Does it have to be like something big?
Honey, it can be whatever comes to in your heart. Whatever, it can be whatever it is that you are proud of that you don't get to brag about a lot.
Okay, awesome. Well, you and I were just talking about how I now have a team. So I am pretty proud of that because in January I was working all by myself. So my team has expanded. So that's really exciting. And then lately I've been working on a house project. So I've been doing a little bit more decorating around the house, making it look not so bare. So I'm pretty proud of that too. So I'm getting some things done.
Yeah, there you go. It's all about expansion and growth.
Yes, I'm
filling
productive.
Filling out the business, filling out the house.
Yep.
It's
productivity.
We've been remodeling our home, like kind of space by space. So we started last year on our second floor, and now we're on our third floor. And I can't tell you how those changes have really shifted. It's like, you know what I mean? As soon as like that energy shifts with that remodel, and then the family dynamic shift, the business growth, like it's all connected.
It all goes together. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's the way you feel, especially when you're at home. You just want to feel relaxed, or you want to have the joy and celebrate. So that because you're home. So
yes. So one of my coaches told me this phrase, and I'm adopting it forever. It's frequency first. So it's like, what's the frequency? What's the energy? You can use that too. What's the frequency? And like when you upgrade the energy, when you like, you know what I mean? When you raise the vibe, then everything else just raises, rises to meet it. And I found that like when we upgraded the house, my kids, behave differently in the home. You know what I'm saying? And
wow.
Because
that's awesome,
they felt different about being in it, and and I don't know. I just and then that expansion and that growth led to the other expansion. And like we were talking about earlier, it's everything's connected, like work, personal. It's like you can't be like, oh, here's my work life, here's my professional life. It's all the same.
We're all one.
Exactly. I help people, communicate more effectively. Like, so your ability to set boundaries at work, you don't think that's going to translate to being able to set boundaries at home?
Oh, it's directly related, right?
For sure. And vice versa. When, when you learn to navigate your, caring for your adult parent with your siblings more effectively, you don't think that's going to translate to being able to.
Oh, it's going to translate.
Oh yeah.
For sure.
And so it's like, it's all connected. Everything is all connected. Absolutely. And really looking at, how we are all like how everything around you is a mirror for everything else, all right, that's how I see the world anyway. Okay,
that's the best way to see it.
All right, let's get into this. So I worked for a company for 16 years called 501 Creative. I loved it. And when my boss and creative partner Karen started the business, everybody told her it was a stupid idea and you'll never make any money.
Oh,
that was 1995. Business is still going. So did people tell you, hey, I'm gonna have this marketing business, I'm gonna help nonprofits? They're like, there's no money in that, that'll never work. Is that what people told you?
Yeah, so the way I started is really funny. So I came out of corporate marketing and I worked for a really big Fortune 500 company, comfortable salary, team was cool. But guess what? They decided, hey, Adora, today, you're in the layoff. So I had to pack my things. And I moped around for a couple of months trying to figure out what am I supposed to do and how am I going to survive? And so the first thing that came to mind though, after moping around for several months was, okay, what can I do with the skills that I have? Because it's no matter what, like we're saying, we're connected. And so everything about us, we have to take to a job or we have to take to our business. So why not start something yourself? So I did tell a few family members like, hey, I think I'm going to try to start a business instead of going back into corporate. And of course I got some naysayers, like, Adora, maybe you should go back to work and then think about it. Or, I don't necessarily know that's, something you should do right now because the economy, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, I took a leap and went ahead and did, the business route. So, and here I am 5 years later. So
there you go. And so what made you want to focus specifically on the nonprofit industry?
Yeah, so I actually started as in for-profit. So I was working with some small businesses, and I had one nonprofit. They were way in Boston, so I'm in Texas, and they're way in Boston. And they reach out and they say, "Hey, Adora, I know you do small businesses, but we have no marketing presence online. Can you help us?" And so when I got in there and I looked at, what the marketing they were doing, they were still going door to door, knocking on people's doors and asking for donations that way. And so I had to really go in there and deep dive and help them learn how to do donations online. How do you build an audience online? How do you convert that audience? And that was super exciting. So once I got done with them, we worked together for a while. They referred another nonprofit to me. And so I wound up working with nonprofits back to back. And I realized, well, this is my area. I really like, it's really exciting. I get to see their mission. I get to see how they excited, volunteers are to sign up for the mission. And so I really found my passion. So it's kind of accidental.
That's good, but nothing's accidental, just so you know.
No, it's really not. I thought it was accidental, but
Right, yeah, no, that was all meant for you. All right, so
exactly.
Okay, so in the digital, digital marketing, what do you feel like? I was going to ask you what the biggest mistake you see people like, what do you feel like is the biggest missed opportunity?
I think the missed opportunity comes from the basic of communication, which I know you know a lot about. A lot of nonprofits are just not communicating what their mission is. They're not showing up enough online, and when they do show up, they're not clear enough on what their messaging is. And then I also noticed, like, even some nonprofits have a healthy size email list. They're not utilizing it, so they're not letting their donors know what's going on. They're not, keeping them in the loop. Especially first time donors or repeat donors, you really want to, keep them in the loop of the organization. I see that, that ball is being dropped a lot. So I would definitely say communication.
Yeah, I really push for organizations to consider, like, instead of doing like the monthly newsletter with all the articles, do one story a week. You know what I mean? Mail more frequently with less content. Because you don't have to do any more work. You're just maximizing the content that you have. And so what do you feel like is, that what makes, I guess what I want to say is, what kind of content should they be putting out there in order to attract the people that they want?
Yeah, you should definitely be, like you said, storytelling. So you should be telling a lot about, what your organization is, who do you help? You can show the people that you help. So that nonprofit, that the first nonprofit that I worked for in Boston, they did a lot of homeless, like feeding the homeless and working with the youth and things like that. So a lot of my advice was, hey, won't you post some of these events? Or show, you guys working in the community, and kind of tell the story on how you got to where you are. People like to hear those things. They really do. And then also, you can post about, certain things that you have coming up, whether it's a volunteer event they can sign up for. And then you just kind of want to educate as well. So a lot of the content that I tell clients to do is educational. So if you are a nonprofit, for instance, that plants trees, you guys are really into making for sure that the earth is green. Well, you need to educate some of us because, some people don't recycle, or they don't know what they don't know. And so educating your audience is always going to be something that you can go to.
Yeah. So I call that expert content. And that means like you have an expertise that you can share with people. If you're an animal welfare group, share how to train your dog, because you're experts in that, or like how to, bring your new dog home from the shelter, whether people adopt from you or not. Right. you can share about trees or whatever, like,
Yep.
because you're experts in that. And I think
Exactly.
people forget, wait, like we actually have, educational content that we can
Right.
share with people.
Yeah, and every nonprofit has that. Like, so don't think that just because you're small, you don't have it. You definitely have it. Whatever your mission is, somebody's going to want to know more about, why you started, what can you do for the community, and how they can get involved.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. The other thing about marketing is that we want to have measurable success. And
Yes.
sometimes that can be hard. So, and I feel like sometimes it's hard to sell marketing to the
Yeah.
higher ups, to leadership, because it's hard to quantify it. So what's the best way you can measure marketing success?
So there are several ways, but you definitely want to look at a couple of metrics that I always recommend. So you want to look at how are people utilizing our website? And so I would always tell a nonprofit, no matter what size, you need to install Google Analytics. It's going to tell you all about your demographics. It's going to tell you where your traffic's coming from, and it's going to tell you how long are they staying on the site. This is important because later down the line, you're going to want to change your content, or you might want to start asking them for their emails, and you need to see the type of information that they're giving. And so information like click-through rate, which is how often are they clicking on into our website, information like open rates. So are they opening our emails, even though we're sending them once a month, or how often are they opening them? You want to look at things like retention rate. Are we keeping donors here? How much money, are the donors donating this year versus last year? So you want to look at all of these things when you're creating a marketing plan, because that's going to tell you exactly where do we need to continue working in our marketing going forward.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot of marketing that, okay, first of all, I feel like we value things that we can measure, but that isn't always, but if we're only limited to what we can measure, we are really limiting ourselves in like the more of the qualitative things that we can't measure. I feel like it's very like kind of like the risk averse, okay, I'm just going to say this is very risk averse, like masculine energy, like it must be measured, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay. And if we're only valuing by things we can measure, I think we can miss a lot of stuff. And I want to see what you think about this, because in marketing, it's like what I call, it's like disturbing the field. So you're putting something out there, but it may come back to you in a way. It's not like a karmic ATM, like I'm going to put something out and I'm going to get something back. You put something out there, and then that message goes to someone, like, and then it comes back to you. Does that make sense? Like, and so it can be like, it may not always be a direct thing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I put this effort, you put this effort out, and because of that effort, other things happen, and then something else dropped in.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing about marketing, is not everything is measurable. So that, you can't measure word of mouth, right?
Right.
But there are things that you should measure and you should keep in mind. But like you said, some things when it comes to marketing, you really want to make for sure, especially when you're putting out content, is it shareable? Is it a message that my donors would want to share? And so, you're not going to see me always share things, right? But you are going to see it come back, because people are going to come to the site. They're going to click on it. They're going to want to sign up for your email list. And so even though it is indirect, you can still measure certain results by
like certain behaviors, well. Right? So exactly. I had a woman reach out yesterday, and she actually, the next round of my influence course starts next week, and she's like, I've been thinking about you for 3 months. Like, you've just been on my mind, because she wants to like really grow in her work, and she's sort of like ready to be a more effective leader. And she said, and I went to your emails and I started reading your emails, and she just reached out. And like the reason I tell that story is like, sometimes we forget that people are receiving the story, right? I didn't know that she was thinking about me every day, like kind of like simmer, but that's that's kind of how people operate, right? Like they're gonna sit on it for a little while, and then something, and they'll act. And so I really feel like there's a lot out there that just because it just hasn't come back to you yet. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like
and
give
that's why
it time
it's important
to grow.
Exactly. You have to nurture your audience. And I'm sure that's what you were doing. You were putting out content weekly, right? And you're getting in front of her weekly. And she's like, okay, well, this is good. So let me see, can I learn from this? And so she's been learning from you for a while. So why not sign up for the class, right? Because she knows that you have valuable content because you've been teaching her already. So yeah, so it's definitely the nurturing process is so important even for smaller nonprofits, especially for smaller nonprofits, I would say, because even as you get started and you really want to build that credibility like you did.
And staying in it, even if you feel like people aren't responding, because because you don't, like I said, it just hasn't gotten back to you yet. It just takes like, it's like if you plant a seed and then every day you're like, is it growing yet? Is it growing? Like you just plant the seed.
It doesn't look like it is.
Right. Yeah. But it's going, it's getting there.
It's just smaller.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome.
And in that particular case, I'm sure if you looked at your email, right, if you look back at your email, you can probably see that she did open those emails. So she was an active person opening those emails. So you can kind of look engaged and say, okay, these are the most active email subscribers, and kind of keep that in mind.
I think we forget that we have, or I mean, I do, I don't know. We forget we have that information, to like go back and look at those numbers, look at your analytics, look at your email open rates and all of that, so you can see like, what are people responding to, what aren't they? And also then that quantitative case that you can take for people like, okay, look, we did this.
Exactly.
Okay, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to ask this. How can you make it easy? Because you mentioned before donors about sharing your story. How can you make it easier? How can you encourage your donors to share your organization story?
I noticed that a lot of donors who are excited about the mission, they're going to naturally start sharing it anyway because they're involved. But what you want to do is really make for sure that you are keeping the donors that you already have excited and engaged. And the way you're going to do that is by, again, kind of like you, keeping that consistency in front of them, letting them know what's going on, where's their money going, getting them excited about what's to come. So if you guys have an event or some type of gala coming up towards the end of the year, get them excited about it. Let them know, hey, you can share this with your friends. The money's going to go here. This is what we're trying to raise. And so make them feel involved and then encourage them to share. So it's okay to ask them, hey, share with your friends. And I see a lot of organizations don't necessarily do that, but the ones that do, they get more shares because you're telling them something that's actionable.
So just ask them to share it.
Yeah, it's really that simple.
So this was a long time ago. It was probably like 5 or 6 years ago before I started my business. I was on a board, and part of what I was doing as a board member was helping this, my contribution was training my fellow board members on how to tell the organization story. And I was saying, you can share it, and this one guy raised his hand. I'll never forget this. And he said, I don't know how to do that.
What?
And so I'm dealing with a population that, I mean, this was like 5 or 6 years ago. They may be more savvy by now.
Yeah.
That literally just didn't, I'm not on Facebook. They just weren't that. And they felt bad because they wanted to support. So sometimes it's like, you got to start where they're like, oh, I can do this. Like, I don't. I hear that. Okay, no problem. Let's just like move it back a little bit. Okay, here's how you do that. Or okay, well, how would you like to share the story? Because I can take like whatever. I don't care. Like whatever. Yep. Whatever you're comfortable with.
Exactly. Share it your way. Share it any way that they can.
Right. Yeah. But I just thought that was so cute. I'm like, thank you so much for like admitting that to the room. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, no problem.
Exactly.
Like, anybody else feel that way? And half the room was like,
I'm pretty sure there were other people.
Yeah. Half forgotten. I'm like, okay, see, and you may
like,
be
what? I don't share.
Right. And to people who are like, my board doesn't share my stuff. It like maybe it's not because they don't care. It's because they just don't know. Like a little. So I did a little bit of training.
Exactly.
Step back, no problem. Okay, next I'll do a little bit of training on how you do this, and also just really how much that social proof, like, because you know, a nonprofit, you know, if I'm a leader of a nonprofit, of course I'm going to say it's amazing. But when somebody who is voluntarily saying it's amazing, that has
That's
a
a whole
lot of
other thing.
yeah, that's a lot of social proof.
That's a lot of weight. Yep.
Okay, so you know, in digital marketing, I mean, you know, when you work with organizations on social media and posting social media, my thing about that is, I mean, that you're building your house on rented land, right? Like, because those algorithms change. You know, I know, you know, organizations that I know, like organization I volunteer for, Stray Rescue of St. Louis, they lost their whole Facebook page.
Oh,
they had more than 250,000 followers, lost the whole thing. Took them more than 6 months to get it back up. And they lost it the day before Giving Tuesday, which was like the biggest fundraising day, the night before. Right?
That is terrible.
It was.
Wow.
And like, so my thing is, you know, getting people off of social media and onto your email list, into your orbit. Right. And so I'm sure that you agree with that. And so how can you help people, like, you know, maximize the digital content, but not get overly dependent on it? Because it can change, right? Like in a moment's notice. I see people all the time, they lose their TikTok account or their Facebook page and they have nothing.
Yep. And that's why I do encourage all of my nonprofit clients to always, well, for profit too, like you guys may be listening to, you guys should always try your best every time you post to get someone to sign up for your email list, because your email list is that private area. Like Marianne said, they're not going to take that away from you because it's yours, and you're always going to have that list to go to and fall back on. And so every time you post, you should say, or have something, you know, of value that you can give to your audience that they can go in exchange for their email address and either download, watch some kind of educational video, or anything else of value that you can give to them, whether it's a discount or something, or something that they can share, something that they value within your organization, which you guys would know the best for your organization. Have them give you the email address, and you'll always have them on file. And that's the best way to do it. Right. No matter what size you are, you should always do that.
And I can't believe how few organizations do this. It actually drives me nuts. Like, sign up for our email. Like, ooh, that's sexy. Like, yay, can't wait. What? Like, newsletter sign up. Woo. Like, or how about, you know, you make a simple thing, a one-page thing. It's like, hey, here's like, if you work with, like, you know, with homeless people, like people that are unhoused people, say, hey, how, you know, here's the 10 ways to
checklist. You can do a checklist.
How can you help people, you know, what to do when someone asks you for money. Download, you know, download this guide, and then you give them an email, and they get a little piece of education. You're seen as an expert, and then they get off of social media and onto your list. Like, I have those. I'm sure you have those.
Of course.
And you know, and because this is not about technology, this is very, I mean, if I can, trust me, if I can make one of these, you can definitely make one of these. I am not technology at all, you know, and then they go into your database, so you're pulling people off. And I just, it's so, like, just a little pop-up window, hey, or like, or, you know, something, a link where they go to it, a page, and they can just put their email in and then download, like I said, a video, you know, watch a video, a little guide, a checklist, something like that.
Anything of value, anything they can learn from, or take something, walk away and feel like, hey, I got something in exchange for my email. It's going to work.
It is, yes.
So,
and but
you have to tell them to go there too. So don't just post something and just like expect them to go there. Like, you have to tell them, hey, you can download, you know, or there's a free video training about blah, blah, blah in exchange for your email.
Right. So at the end of this podcast, I'll tell people, hey, go to theinfluentialnonprofit.com and download your Up-Level Your Influence Starter Kit. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And I made and did put that together all by myself. So if I can do it, you can do it. And if you can't do it, just email me and I'll help you.
Exactly.
Because I really want people to do this. I can't overemphasize the power of the email list. And
for sure.
You know, okay. Anything else that you want people to know about, you know, how to market your nonprofit? I see you have some YouTube videos. Are there videos on there about marketing people can go to?
So you guys can visit me on YouTube. Just type in Adora Girl in Momentum, and you'll see the whole channel. I talk about all types of things, metrics, I'll talk about email marketing. I talk about, certain social media platforms. So if you guys can go there and feel free to subscribe there. And then you guys can also visit my website. And I actually do have a PDF for you guys to download. And it has a few ways that you guys can use email too. So you guys feel free to go to that.
So I'll put all those links in the show notes. So if somebody's driving, you
Awesome.
don't have to stop. I'll put all the links in the show notes to your website. So from your website, they'll be able to download the PDF, correct?
Yes.
So
yes.
AdoraDrakeMarketing.com. How did you get such a gorgeous name?
I'm gonna thank my mom. Thanks, Mom.
What a cool, you have a movie star name, Adora Drake. You're nominated for an Emmy.
Are you saying I should fly to LA? Maybe I should fly to LA and try
100%,
out.
100%. You do. You have a celebrity name. I think somebody famous like I'll be Adora Drake. Okay.
I love it here.
I'm Mary Ann. My mom was Polish descent, and she had an aunt who was Mariana, and that my grandmother was one of many children, and instead she kind of like lost her nerve. She thought it would be too weird, and I'm like, I would have been so much more glamorous. I bet I would have hated it as a kid though.
Probably would have.
I probably would have. Yeah. That was an aunt, I think an aunt that my mom had. That was the inspiration. Awesome. Okay. Now, if I'm ever in Dallas, or you're ever in St. Louis and we wind up in a karaoke bar. This is always my last question, because I love karaoke and I love to sing karaoke. I'm probably going to go this Friday. What is your go-to karaoke number? Because I think this reveals a lot about a person.
So I actually did karaoke like 2 weeks ago with some friends. And so we actually sung Party in the USA by Marley Cyrus. Because it's really fun and upbeat. So everybody in the whole room was like,
Yeah, people sing along. That's it. You get the crowd involved. It's not that hard of a song to sing.
No. Exactly. So all of my go-tos are like really upbeat. Like I like to get everybody involved so I won't feel like I'm up there by myself.
For sure. So. Yeah, like the rooms are rocking, and then somebody comes up and they're doing like American Pie or something.
It's a party in here, right? Yeah. Exactly.
I used to have so this person, Marioki, she was my karaoke person for years. And she would before everything was digital, and she there's certain songs that skipped, and one of them was American Pie, all these, because it would just Piano Man, it would just bring the house down. And she's like, I just find something else. We're not gonna listen to you.
A little too much
ballads all day. Everybody comes out to have a good time. They're all weeping.
That is funny.
Adora, this was a blast. Thank you so much for coming on here. I am excited to dig into this YouTube channel. I'm loving this. All the goodies that are on there. Again, the links will be in the show notes. That sounds like you got a lot of good educational content on that YouTube channel.
For sure.
And your LinkedIn and your YouTube, your website, and all of those will be in the show notes for people to access, so you can get download that PDF and be part of Adora's orbit in her universe forever. All right, well that's it for this episode. This was hilariously fun, and again, I mentioned this earlier, but this is exactly what we were talking about when I tell you go to theinfluentialnonprofit.com. You can download your Up-Level Your Influence Starter Kit. You're going to give me your email, and you're going to get this really cool ebook, and which goes really more deep into a lot of the concepts around communication and leadership that I talk about all the time, about developing your influence so you can enroll people in your vision, raise more money, just get done whatever you need to get done more easily. And you can download that and have those goodies. And that's it for me. And we'll see you next time on The Influential Nonprofit.